The metallic taste of blood fills Emma's mouth as she stumbles through the entrance of the Sapphire Lounge, one hand pressed against her split lip, the other clutching her ribs where they'd kicked her. Again. Her vision blurs, tears mixing with the mascara already streaking down her cheeks, and she knows. She absolutely knows. She shouldn't be here. Not looking like this. Not when Dominic Moretti owns this place, when his men are everywhere, when walking through these doors means entering a world she's spent 3 years carefully avoiding. But she has nowhere else to go. The music pounds through the exclusive nightclub, all pulsing bass and expensive clientele who turn to stare as she limps past. Their faces blur together. Shock, disgust, pity. A woman in a red dress gasps and pulls her date away as if Emma's desperation might be contagious. The bouncer, who would normally stop anyone dressed like her, anyone bleeding on the pristine marble floors, just steps aside. His eyes go wide. His hand moves to his earpiece. "Don't," Emma tries to say, but her voice cracks. "Please don't tell him I'm..." Too late. The crowd parts like a wave pulling back from shore, and suddenly there's silence despite the music still thundering through the speakers. That's how powerful his presence is. Dominic Moretti doesn't need to announce himself. The air simply changes when he enters a room. Emma's knees almost buckle when she sees him. He's in a black suit that probably costs more than her entire year's salary at the diner. His dark hair perfectly styled, his jaw carved from granite and set in an expression that makes grown men confess to crimes they didn't commit. But it's his eyes that have always undone her. Piercing gray eyes that could seduce or destroy with equal ease. Eyes that are currently locked onto her like she's the only person in the entire city. Those eyes narrow as they travel down her body, cataloging every injury, every rip in her clothes, every bruise blooming purple and yellow across her arms. "Clear the floor," he says quietly. His men move instantly. Within 30 seconds, the main lounge is empty, except for his inner circle. Faces Emma recognizes from 3 years ago, from when she used to bring Dominic his coffee, from when she was just his administrative assistant and not the woman who walked away from him, because loving him meant living in constant danger. Dominic crosses the space between them in 4 long strides. He doesn't touch her, not yet, but he's close enough that Emma can smell his cologne, that intoxicating mix of bergamot and danger that used to cling to her skin after the rare nights when he'd let his control slip. "Emma." His voice is deadly calm. That's how she knows he's furious. Dominic doesn't yell. He doesn't rage. He gets quiet, and that's when people die. "You have 5 seconds. Who the fuck beat you?" Her breath hitches. She shouldn't tell him. Telling him means unleashing something that can't be. Stopped means watching him become the monster everyone says he is, means dragging him into her mess when she left specifically to keep him out of it. "It's not," she starts, but he cuts her off. 5. He takes her chin gently, tilting her face toward the light. His jaw clenches when he sees the full extent of the damage. 4. "Dominic, please." Emma tries to pull away, but his other hand comes up to cup the side of her face, holding her with a tenderness that makes her chest ache. "I can handle this myself. I shouldn't have come here. I just needed 3. His thumb traces the cut on her lip with excruciating care. "I will find out, Emma, whether you tell me or not, but I need to hear it from you." Tears spill down her cheeks because she knows he's right, because his men are probably already pulling security footage from every camera within a 10-block radius, because walking through his door was the same as painting a target on the men who did this to her. 2. "They said I owed them money," she whispers. "They said my brother borrowed from them before he died, and now the debt is mine. I told them I didn't have it. I've been working double shifts at the diner and the bar, but it's not enough. It's never enough. And they just kept..." Her voice breaks. "They said next time they'd do worse. They said next time they'd make sure no one would recognize my face." Dominic's expression doesn't change, but something dark and terrible flickers in his eyes. Something that makes Emma remember why people cross the street when they see him coming. 1. He drops his hands and turns to the man standing nearest, Marcus, his second in command, who looks like he's carved from the same stone as his boss. Get Dr. Reeves here, now, and find out everything about Emma's brother's debts. Names, amounts, every single person involved in the chain. Already on it, Marcus says, phone already pressed to his ear. Dominic. Emma grabs his arm, feeling the tension coiled there like a spring ready to snap. You can't. Whatever you're thinking, you can't. They're connected. They mentioned someone named Viktor Kozlov. If you go after them, if you start a war over me. He spins back so fast she gasps. His hands frame her face again, forcing her to meet his eyes. If I start a war over you, he repeats, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Emma, there are 600 people in this city who would die for me without question. There are politicians in my pocket, judges who owe me favors, and enough money to burn this entire place down and rebuild it in my image. His thumbs stroke her cheekbones with devastating gentleness. And you think I give a single damn about Viktor Kozlov when someone put their hands on you? When someone made you bleed? We're not together anymore, she reminds him, even as her heart hammers against her ribs. I left, remember? I walked away because I couldn't live in your world. Because loving you meant living in fear every single day. You left, he agrees, and I let you go because I thought you'd be safer. Because I thought stepping back would protect you from the things I do, the enemies I make. His voice hardens. Clearly, I was wrong. Clearly, the only thing my absence accomplished was making you vulnerable to pieces of trash who think they can touch what's mine and walk away. I'm not yours. You'll always be mine. The certainty in his voice sends shivers down her spine. Emma wants to argue, wants to remind him that she spent 3 years building a life away from his world of violence and power plays, and men who solve problems with bullets instead of lawyers. But then, his forehead touches hers, and she can feel him trembling with the effort of holding himself back. Let me protect you, he breathes against her lips. Let me do what I should have done the day you walked into my office with coffee and those ridiculous nervous smiles. Let me make sure no one ever hurts you again. Before Emma can respond, Marcus clears his throat. Sir, we've got preliminary information. The men who attacked Miss Emma are part of Victor's crew, but they were operating independently. Some kind of side hustle, loaning money to desperate people and using Victor's name for intimidation. Her brother did borrow $5,000 8 months ago. They're claiming it's now $40,000 with interest. Dominic straightens, and Emma watches his expression shift from the man who just held her so tenderly to the one who rules an empire built on fear. And Victor? Doesn't know about it yet. His men have been skimming without permission. A cold smile touches Dominic's lips. How convenient. Emma's stomach drops. She knows that smile. What are you going to do? I'm going to handle it. He nods to 2 men she doesn't recognize. Take her to my penthouse. Dr. Reeves will meet you there. She doesn't leave. She doesn't open the door for anyone except him or me. And if anyone so much as looks at the building wrong, you put them down. Understood? Wait. Emma grabs his sleeve again as the men move toward her. Handle it how? Dominic, I need you to tell me. He cups her face one more time, his thumb tracing her uninjured cheek. I'm going to remind this city why people are afraid to speak my name. And then I'm going to come home to you. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting tonight. He leans down and presses the softest kiss to her forehead, his lips lingering there like a benediction and a promise. Trust me, Emma. Just this once. Trust that I will make this right. She wants to argue. She wants to tell him that violence only breeds more violence, that getting revenge will just paint a bigger target on both their backs. But the truth is, she's exhausted. She's terrified. And some broken part of her wants to let him be the monster, wants to watch him unleash hell on the men who kicked her while she was down and laughed while they did it. So she nods. Good girl, he murmurs, and the approval in his voice does something dangerous to her resolve. Then he's striding toward the exit, Marcus and half a dozen armed men falling into formation behind him, and Emma is being gently but firmly escorted toward a private elevator by 2 of his guards. The penthouse is exactly as she remembers it, all floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, expensive art on the walls, furniture that costs more than most people's cars. But it also has her favorite throw blanket still draped over the back of the couch, still has that ridiculous scented candle she bought him as a joke sitting on the mantel, still has the chess set they used to play with on lazy Sunday mornings, set up mid-game on the coffee table. He never finished their last match. She left before they could. Dr. Reeves arrives 20 minutes later, a kind-faced woman in her 50s who's been cleaning up Dominic's messes, both medical and otherwise, for decades. She checks Emma's ribs, determines nothing is broken but everything is badly bruised, and carefully tends to the cuts on her face and arms. "He cares about you a great deal," Dr. Reeves says quietly as she applies butterfly bandages to the worst of the damage. "I've known Dominic since he was a teenager. I've never seen him lose control over anything, but you make him reckless." "I don't want to make him anything," Emma whispers. "I just want him safe." "Then you understand how he feels about you." Dr. Reeves pats her hand. "Try to get some rest. Something tells me tonight is going to be very long for a lot of people who aren't you." After the doctor leaves, Emma tries to sleep. She really does. But every time she closes her eyes, she sees their faces. The 3 men who cornered her outside the diner, who dragged her into the alley, who took turns showing her what happens to people who don't pay their debts. She feels their hands again, their fists, hears their laughter as she begged them to stop. So she gives up on sleep and curls up on Dominic's couch with her old blanket, staring at the chessboard and wondering what the hell she's done by coming here. By walking back into his life and his world after swearing she was done with both. The sun is just starting to paint the sky pink and gold when she hears the penthouse door open. Emma's on her feet instantly, heart pounding, but it's just Dominic. He's shed his suit jacket somewhere, his white shirt is rolled up to his elbows, and there's blood on his hands. Not a lot, just specks across his knuckles that make it clear he got personal with at least some of tonight's work. Their eyes meet across the room. "Is it done?" she asks. "It's done." "How many?" He moves to the bar cart and pours himself 3 fingers of whiskey, downs it in 1 swallow, then pours another. "Do you really want to know?" Emma wraps the blanket tighter around her shoulders. "Yes." 19. He says it, matter-of-factly, like he's reporting the weather. "The 3 who touched you, their supervisor who ordered it, 8 others who were part of the loan sharking operation, and 7 more who made the mistake of trying to protect them when my men came knocking. 19 people. 19 people gone because she walked through his door bleeding and broken. And Victor?" Her voice sounds hollow to her own ears. "Is currently very apologetic about his men's unauthorized activities." A grim smile touches Dominic's lips. "He's also written off your brother's debt entirely, and included a rather substantial cash apology for the inconvenience. Consider it compensation for your suffering. I don't want his money. Neither do I. I'm donating it to women's shelters across the city in your brother's name." He sets down his glass and crosses to where she's standing. "Emma, look at me." She does. She looks at this man who just killed 19 people without hesitation. This man who rules the city's underworld with an iron fist. This man who's looking at her like she's something precious and terrifying all at once. "Tell me you're not afraid of me," he says quietly. "I'm not. Tell me you don't regret coming here." "I don't. Tell me." His voice cracks just slightly. "Tell me I haven't lost you again." Emma reaches up and takes his blood-stained hand in both of hers. She should be horrified. She should be running for the door. Instead, she finds herself pulling him closer, letting him wrap his arms around her like she's the only solid thing in his world. "You should have lost me," she whispers against his chest. "You should have let me go and found someone who fits in your world. Someone who doesn't flinch at the violence. Someone who can be what you need." His arms tighten. "You are what I need. I left you, Dominic. I know. I broke your heart. I know that too." He pulls back just enough to look down at her, his gray eyes intense and unwavering. You left because you were scared. Because watching me come home with blood on my hands made you lie awake at night, wondering if one day I wouldn't come home at all. You left because you loved me too much to watch me destroy myself, and because you thought maybe I'd be better off finding someone who could accept this life without question. How did you— Because I know you, Emma. I've known you since the day you walked into my office 3 years ago and told me my coffee order was going to give me a heart attack. I've known every thought in that brilliant head, every fear that keeps you up at night, every dream you're too afraid to say out loud. His hand comes up to cup her cheek, so gentle despite the violence those fingers just delivered. And I've spent 3 years respecting your choice, staying away, trying to let you build a life that doesn't include me. But tonight proved something I've always known. What's that? You're safer with me than without me. Not because the world is safer when I'm around, but because I will burn it down before I let anyone hurt you again. And I think— His voice drops lower, more vulnerable than she's ever heard it. I think maybe you came here tonight because part of you has always known that too. Emma's breath catches. Because he's right. She could have gone to the police, could have gone to a hospital, could have gone to any of the friends she's made since leaving him. But instead, bruised and bleeding and terrified, her feet carried her straight to him. I'm not a good man, Dominic continues. I've done things that would make you sick if you knew the details. I've built an empire on fear and violence, and making sure people understand that crossing me has consequences. But Emma— His forehead touches hers again. I would be a good man for you. I would be whatever you needed me to be. You can't change what you are. No, but I can make sure you never have to see it. Can make sure the violence stays where it belongs, out there. He gestures vaguely at the windows, at the city beyond. And what you get is the man who wants to make you coffee in the morning and argue with you about chess strategy and fall asleep with you in his arms every single night. That's not realistic. Then let me make it realistic. Let me show you that I can keep you safe without dragging you into the darkness. That I can love you without destroying you. His hands frame her face with such tenderness it makes her ache. Let me prove that I can be yours without you having to be part of this world. Tears spill down Emma's cheeks again, but this time they're not from pain. You killed 19 people tonight. For me. I'd kill 100 more if that's what it took. That's not normal, Dominic. That's not— I know. He wipes her tears with his thumbs. I know it's not normal. I know it's extreme and violent and probably insane by most people's standards. But those men put their hands on you, Emma. They hurt you. They threatened to do worse. And every single person who was part of that, everyone who enabled it, everyone who could have stopped it and didn't, they all made a choice. Just like I made a choice. To kill them. To protect you. His voice is fierce now. To make absolutely certain that no one in this city will ever think they can touch you again. To send a message so clear that even thinking your name without respect will be a death sentence. Emma should be horrified. Should be backing away from this admission of wholesale slaughter delivered like it's romantic instead of terrifying. But instead, she finds herself leaning into his touch. Into this man who looks at her like she's worth destroying the world for. What happens now? She asks. Now you decide. Dominic's eyes search hers. You can walk away again. I'll respect it. I'll have guards on you 24/7 that you'll never see, making sure nothing like tonight ever happens again. You can go back to your diner and your apartment and your life without me in it, and I promise I will stay away. Or you stay. You let me take care of you the way I should have been doing all along. You let yourself believe that maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to make this work. His voice drops to barely above a whisper. You let yourself come home. This was never my home. Liar. The word is soft, almost affectionate. You've been home since the moment you met me. We both have. Everything else has just been us being too scared to admit it. He's right. God help her. He's right. Emma has spent 3 years trying to convince herself that leaving was the right choice, that building a life without him was healthier and safer and smarter. But every morning she woke up alone, felt wrong. Every man who asked her out got compared to the one she left behind and found wanting. Every night she lay awake wondering if he was okay, if he was eating properly, if someone else had taken her place in his bed and his life. "I'm still scared," she admits. "I know. I don't know if I can watch you be what you are. If I can accept the violence." "You don't have to watch it. You don't have to accept it. You just have to trust that I will keep it away from you." His hands slide down to her shoulders, steadying her. "Let me compartmentalize, Emma. Let me be the monster out there, and the man who loves you in here. Let that be enough. And if it's not? If one day the violence follows you home anyway? Then I will die before I let it touch you." The certainty in his voice steals her breath. This is what she's always known about Dominic Moretti. That his loyalty, once given, is absolute. That he loves with the same intensity he kills with. That there is no half measure with him, no middle ground. It's all or nothing, devotion or destruction. "I love you," she whispers. "I never stopped. Not for a single day." Something transforms in his expression. The hardness melts away, leaving only the man. The one who used to bring her lunch when she forgot to eat, who learned to make her favorite tea just the way she liked it, who once spent an entire Sunday helping her reorganize her bookshelf by color, even though he thought it was ridiculous. "Say it again," he breathes. "I love you, Dominic, and I'm tired of pretending I don't. I'm tired of being away from you. I'm tired of lying to myself that I'm better off alone when all I want is—" He kisses her. It's not gentle. It's desperate and claiming, and 3 years of longing poured into the press of his lips against hers. His hands slide into her hair, tilting her head to deepen the kiss, and Emma melts into him with a soft sound that's part relief and part surrender. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rests his forehead against hers. "Marry me," he says. Emma blinks. "What?" "Marry me. Not next year, not when you're ready. Now, today. Let me make you mine in every way that matters." His hands frame her face again, his eyes blazing with intensity. "I know it's fast. I know we have things to work through. But Emma, I have wasted 3 years without you. I'm not wasting another day." "That's insane." "Probably." A smile tugs at his lips. "Marry me anyway. People will think you're forcing me. They'll think I'm only saying yes because you killed those men, or because I'm scared, or—" "Let them think whatever they want." His thumb traces her lower lip, careful of the cut there. "I will know the truth, that you chose me, that you came back, that despite everything I am and everything I've done, you looked at me and decided I was worth loving." Emma's heart hammers in her chest. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. She should ask for time, should insist on therapy and long conversations and working through their issues before making such a massive commitment. But when she looks into his eyes, all she sees is the same certainty she feels in her own chest. She already made her choice. She made it the moment she walked through his door, bleeding and broken, knowing he would move heaven and earth to protect her. "Okay," she whispers. His eyes widen. "Okay? Yes. I'll marry you. Today. Tomorrow. Whenever you want. I'll marry you and let you protect me and figure out how to build a life where you can be what you need to be, and I can be what I need to be, and somehow we make it work because the alternative is spending another 3 years apart, and I can't." Her voice breaks. "I can't do that again, Dominic. I can't." He kisses her again, softer this time, reverent. "You won't have to. I promise you won't have to." Marcus clears his throat from somewhere near the door, and Emma jumps. She hadn't even heard him come in. "Sorry to interrupt," he says, not sounding sorry at all. "But the judge you wanted on call is ready whenever you are. And the media has started picking up the story about the 19 missing persons connected to Victor's organization." "What's the official narrative?" Dominic asks without taking his eyes off Emma. "Rival gang violence. Victor himself is cooperating with that story, eager to distance himself from men who were apparently operating without his knowledge or consent. Marcus's tone makes it clear he knows exactly how Victor was convinced to cooperate. No connection to you or Miss Emma. Good. Give us an hour, then bring the judge here. Dominic's hands slide down to take Emma's. We're getting married. Marcus doesn't even blink. Congratulations, sir. Ma'am, I'll make arrangements. After he leaves, Emma looks up at Dominic. You had a judge on call? I had a judge on call, he confirms, along with a marriage license that's been sitting in my safe for 2 years, just waiting for the day you might change your mind. That's insane, presumptuous, hopelessly romantic. He grins, and it transforms his face from intimidating to devastating. I prefer to think of it as optimistic. Emma laughs despite everything, despite the ache in her ribs and the exhaustion pulling at her bones, and the fact that she's agreeing to marry a man who just orchestrated 19 deaths without breaking a sweat. But somehow, standing here in his arms with the sunrise painting the sky outside, it all feels right. I don't have a dress, she says. You're perfect exactly as you are. I'm covered in bruises and bandages. You're perfect, he repeats firmly. But if you want a dress, I will have 50 delivered in the next 30 minutes, and you can pick whichever one makes you feel beautiful. I don't need 50 dresses, Dominic. Then what do you need? She looks at this man, this dangerous, powerful, terrifyingly devoted man, and realizes she already has it. Just you, she whispers. I just need you. The ceremony, an hour later, is nothing like Emma ever imagined her wedding would be. There's no church, no crowd of friends and family, no elaborate preparations. Just her in a simple white dress that appeared like magic, Dominic in a fresh suit with no blood on his hands, and a slightly nervous judge who performs the fastest legal marriage ceremony on record, while Marcus and Dr. Reeves stand as witnesses. When the judge pronounces them married and Dominic kisses her, Emma feels something settle in her chest. Like a piece that's been missing for 3 years, finally clicking back into place. Mrs. Moretti, Dominic murmurs against her lips. Mr. Moretti, she returns. How does it feel? Like coming home. His arms tighten around her, and Emma knows that whatever challenges lie ahead, whatever adjustments they'll have to make, whatever boundaries they'll have to set, they'll face them together. She's not naive enough to think it will be easy. Loving a man like Dominic Moretti never is. But as she stands there in his arms, the morning sun streaming through the windows and the city sprawling below them like a kingdom he's conquered in her name, Emma decides that easy is overrated. Dangerous, protective, all-consuming love? That's worth fighting for. That evening, Dominic takes her to dinner at the city's most exclusive restaurant, one he owns, naturally. They're seated in a private room overlooking the water, and Emma can't stop staring at the ring on her finger. It's a simple platinum band, elegant and understated, but it feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds in the best way. What are you thinking? Dominic asks, his hand covering hers on the table. I'm thinking about how strange life is, Emma admits. 24 hours ago, I was being beaten in an alley, certain I was going to die. Now I'm married to you, wearing a ring that probably costs more than my car, eating food I can't even pronounce. Do you regret it? Not even a little bit. She turns her hand to lace her fingers through his. But I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more killing unless absolutely necessary. No more 19 men disappearing because someone hurt me. I need to know that your first instinct isn't always violence. Dominic is quiet for a moment, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. I can't promise that my instinct won't always be to destroy anyone who threatens you. That's just who I am, Emma. But I can promise to try other solutions first, to exhaust every option before I resort to the darker ones. That's all I'm asking. And I need you to promise me something, he says. What? Don't ever leave again. If you're scared, if you're angry, if you hate what I am, tell me. Fight with me. Throw things at me if you need to. But don't disappear. Don't make me spend 3 years wondering if you're okay. If you hate me. If I'll ever see you again. The raw vulnerability in his voice breaks her heart. I promise, No more running. Good. He lifts her hand and presses a kiss to her knuckles, then to her wedding ring. Because I meant what I said earlier. You're home now, and I protect what's mine. As Emma looks at her new husband, this beautiful, terrifying, fiercely devoted man, she realizes that home isn't a place. It's not a building, or a city, or a safe distance from danger. Home is the person who would burn the world down to keep you safe. The one who sees you at your most broken and loves you harder for it. The one who makes you believe that maybe, just maybe, love can survive anything if it's strong enough. And theirs? Theirs is strong enough to survive everything. Outside the restaurant windows, the city glitters like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Somewhere out there, 19 men are missing. Somewhere out there, people are whispering Dominic Moretti's name with fear and respect. But in here, in this moment, there's only Emma and Dominic. Only a love that survived 3 years of separation and came back stronger. Only a promise that no matter what darkness waits outside, they'll face it together. Emma raises her wine glass to coming home. Dominic's gray eyes warm as he touches his glass to hers, to never letting you leave again. They drink, and Emma thinks about fate and choices, and how sometimes the most dangerous decision is the only one worth making. How sometimes love means accepting the monster and the man as one. How sometimes the only way to be truly safe is to stand beside someone powerful enough to make the world bend. 3 years ago, she left because she was afraid. Tonight, she stays because she's brave enough to love him anyway. And in the end, that makes all the difference. What Emma doesn't know as she sips champagne and traces the rim of her wedding ring is that across town, in a basement that smells of copper and concrete, Viktor Kozlov is receiving very unwelcome news. The 42-year-old crime lord sits in a leather chair that's seen better days, his scarred knuckles drumming against the armrest as his lieutenant stammers through an explanation that's going to get someone killed. Possibly everyone in this room. Say that again, Viktor says quietly, and 3 of his men instinctively step back. Slowly, this time. Because I don't think I heard you correctly. The lieutenant swallows hard. Dominic Moretti killed 19 of our men last night, the ones running the loan operation. He also killed the Calabrese brothers who were helping launder the money. And he sent a message. Victor's eye twitches. It's the only outward sign of the rage building inside him, like a nuclear reactor approaching meltdown. What message? He said. The lieutenant pulls out his phone with shaking hands and reads from the screen. He said these are the consequences for touching his wife. He said if you have a problem with it, you can take it up with him personally. He included an address and a time. Tomorrow night. Midnight. For a long moment, the only sound in the basement is water dripping from a pipe somewhere in the darkness. Then Viktor laughs, but it's the kind of laugh that makes smart people reach for weapons. His wife? Viktor stands, all 6 feet 4 inches of muscle and scar tissue. Since when does Dominic Moretti have a wife? Apparently since this morning, sir. City records show he married Emma Thompson, the girl whose brother borrowed from our guys, the same girl who came crawling to Moretti covered in bruises. Viktor's phone starts ringing. He glances at the screen and his expression shifts from anger to something much more dangerous. Calculation. Everyone out, now. His men scramble for the exit like roaches when the light turns on. Viktor waits until he's alone before answering the call. Tell me you're joking, says the voice on the other end, smooth and cultured, and belonging to someone who has more power in this city than Viktor ever will. I wish I was, Councilman. Do you have any idea what you've done? What your idiot soldiers have done? The man's voice rises, losing its polish. Dominic Moretti doesn't just have money and guns, Viktor. He has infrastructure. He has politicians, judges, police captains. He has the kind of power that makes people disappear into bureaucratic black holes. And you gave him an excuse to use it all by letting your men beat his woman half to death? I didn't know. You didn't know because you don't pay attention. Because you run your operation like it's still 1985 and muscle is all that matters. Emma Thompson was his assistant 3 years ago. Everyone knew he was obsessed with her. Everyone knew she was untouchable even after she left. Victor grips the phone so hard the plastic creaks. What do you want me to do? Roll over and take it? Let him murder 20 of my people and just send flowers? I want you to think very carefully about your next move. Because if you go to war with Dominic Moretti, you do it alone. The people who've been supporting you, funding you, looking the other way while you conduct business, they'll vanish. Nobody wants to be caught in the crossfire when he decides to burn everything down. The line goes dead. Victor throws his phone against the concrete wall where it shatters into expensive pieces. Then he picks up another phone from his desk, an encrypted one, and makes a very different call. Back at Dominic's penthouse, Emma is wrapped in his arms on the couch, both of them pretending to watch a movie neither is paying attention to. She's in one of his shirts that hangs to her knees, her bruises starting to yellow at the edges, and she feels safer than she has in 3 years. That should have been her first warning. Dominic's phone buzzes, then buzzes again, and again. You should get that, Emma murmurs, even though she wants to tell him to throw it out the window. He kisses her temple and reaches for the device, his expression shifting as he reads. I need to make a call. I'll be right back. Emma watches him walk into his office and close the door. Through the frosted glass, she can see his silhouette, can see the tension in his shoulders. 5 minutes pass, then 10. She knows that stance, knows what it means when he runs his hand through his hair that way. Something's wrong. When he finally emerges, his face is carefully neutral. That's even worse than anger. What happened? Emma asks, sitting up. Nothing you need to worry about. Dominic. She gives him a look that says she's not buying it. We promised. No more secrets. No more protecting me by keeping me in the dark. He's quiet for a moment, then crosses to her and kneels so they're eye level. Victor Kozlov is planning retaliation. He's bringing in outside contractors, professional killers who specialize in making examples of people. Emma's blood turns to ice. What kind of examples? The kind that sends messages. The kind that... He stops, jaw clenching. Emma, these aren't street thugs. They're trained operatives. Former military, most likely. And their target isn't me. She doesn't understand for a second. Then it hits her like a physical blow. Me. They're coming after me. They want to hurt me by taking you. They want to prove that I'm not as untouchable as I think I am, that my protection means nothing. His hands frame her face, and there's something in his eyes she's never seen before. Fear. I won't let them. Do you understand? I will die before I let anyone touch you again. How do you know all this? How can you be sure? Because I have someone inside Victor's operation. Someone who's been feeding me information for 2 years. He pulls out his phone and shows her a message. They just sent this. Emma reads the text, her hands starting to shake. The detail is specific. Too specific to be anything but real. Times, locations, methods. The contractors are already in the city. They're already watching. They're planning to grab her within the next 48 hours, and what they're planning to do to her before they send Dominic proof of death makes her stomach turn. We need to leave, she whispers. Right now. We can go somewhere they'll never find us. Somewhere. Running makes you pray. Dominic takes the phone back and stands, pulling her up with him. And I don't run, Emma. I end threats before they end me. But if they're professionals, if they're trained, then I'll be better trained, better armed, better motivated. He cups her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I have spent 3 years preparing for the possibility that you might come back to me. 3 years building an empire specifically designed to keep you safe if you ever gave me another chance. Did you think the security here was normal? Did you think the cameras, the guards, the bulletproof glass was just for show? Emma hadn't thought about it, hadn't realized that every window is reinforced, that every entrance has armed guards, that the elevator requires biometric scanning. This entire building is a fortress, Dominic continues. Every person who lives here has been vetted by my security team. Every delivery, Every visitor, every maintenance worker is screened. The staff are all former military or law enforcement, loyal to me personally. And the top 3 floors? They're mine. No one gets up here without me knowing about it. What about when I leave? When I go back to work? You don't leave. Not until this is handled. Emma wants to argue, wants to tell him she can't live in a cage no matter how gilded. But then she remembers the look in her attacker's eyes, remembers the casual cruelty in their laughter, and she knows Dominic is right. Leaving means dying. How long? She asks. 3 days, maybe 4. That's how long it'll take to find every contractor Victor hired and eliminate them. And then I'm going to eliminate Victor. You can't just kill everyone who's a threat. You can't keep doing this every time someone looks at me wrong. We just promised each other. I promised to try other solutions first. His voice is steel wrapped in silk. There are no other solutions here, Emma. These men are paid killers. They don't negotiate. They don't stop until the job is done or they're dead. So I'm going to make sure they're dead. Marcus appears in the doorway, and Emma didn't even hear him come in. That's how good Dominic's people are. They move like ghosts. Sir, we've confirmed 4 contractors, 2 more possibles. I've got teams tracking their movements and accommodations. The Russian is staying at the Meridian under a fake name. The Israeli is in a rental property in the warehouse district. The other 2 are more careful, but we'll find them. Good. I want full surveillance. I want to know what they eat for breakfast, who they call, where they take a piss. And I want countermeasures in place. If any of them gets within 2 blocks of this building or any location Emma might need to visit, I want them neutralized. Already done. I've also reached out to our contacts in federal law enforcement. If you want, we can feed them information that'll have half these contractors arrested before they can make a move. Dominic considers this, then shakes his head. Arrested means trials. Trials mean attention. Attention means Emma's face in the news, her name connected to mine, to Victor, to all of this. No. We handle it quietly. Emma listens to them discuss her attempted murder like it's a business merger, and part of her wants to scream. But another part, the part that walked into that nightclub last night knowing exactly what she was asking for, understands that this is the price of loving a man like Dominic Moretti. This is what protection looks like in his world. Not lawyers and restraining orders, but preemptive violence and overwhelming force. What can I do? She asks, surprising both men. Dominic turns to her, eyebrows raised. Nothing. You stay here, stay safe, and let me... I'm not helpless, Dominic. I might not be able to fight trained killers, but I'm not useless either. She straightens her spine despite the ache in her ribs. If I'm the target, if they're watching for me, then use that. Use me as... Absolutely not. His voice drops to a growl. You are not bait. You are not an asset to be deployed. You are my wife, and you will stay here where I know you're safe. But... no. He crosses to her in 2 strides and grips her shoulders, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to make his point. I will not risk you. I will not put you in danger to make my job easier. I would rather fight 100 contractors with my bare hands than see you harmed again. Do you understand? The ferocity in his eyes steals her breath. Emma nods slowly. Good. He kisses her forehead, then her lips, lingering there. I need to go. Marcus will stay with you along with the security team. Dr. Reeves is on call if you need anything. And Emma? He waits until she meets his eyes. I will come back. No matter what happens, no matter who I have to go through, I will come back to you. You better, she whispers against his lips, because I didn't marry you just to become a widow on day 2. He almost smiles at that. Almost. Then he's moving toward the elevator with Marcus, pulling on a jacket that probably has more weapons concealed in it than Emma wants to think about. The elevator doors close, and Emma is alone, except for the 2 guards stationed at her door, and the knowledge that somewhere out there, professionals are planning her death in excruciating detail. She walks to the floor-to-ceiling windows and looks out at the city glittering below. Somewhere in all those lights are men who want to hurt her. Men who see her as nothing but a tool to wound Dominic. Men who won't stop until she's dead, or they are. Emma places her hand against the bulletproof glass and thinks about fate and choices, and how 24 hours can completely reshape your entire life. Yesterday she was a waitress with bruises and debt. Today, she's a crime lord's wife with a target on her back. She should be terrified. She is terrified. But underneath the fear is something else, something fierce and unbreakable, because she's not alone anymore. She's not facing this with just her own strength and desperate hope. She has Dominic. She has his empire, his resources, his absolutely terrifying devotion. And she has the certainty that he will do exactly what he promised. He will end this threat or die trying. Emma just has to trust him enough to stay alive while he does. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She almost doesn't answer, but something makes her tap the screen. Hello? Emma Thompson. The voice is accented, Eastern European maybe, calm, professional. Or should I say Emma Moretti now? Congratulations on your wedding. Her blood turns to ice. Who is this? Someone who's been hired to deliver a message. Your husband thinks he's protected you by locking you in his tower. He thinks his guards and his guns make you untouchable. But there are always cracks, Emma. Always ways in. And when we find them, and we will find them, you're going to wish those men in the alley had finished the job. If you think you can. I don't think. I know. I've been doing this for 15 years. Longer than your husband has been in power. Longer than you've been alive. And I've never failed to complete a contract. There's a smile in his voice, audible and chilling. The question isn't whether I'll get to you, Mrs. Moretti. The question is how much you'll suffer before I let you die. The line goes dead. Emma stands frozen, the phone shaking in her hand, her breath coming in short gasps. They have her number. They called her directly, which means they're closer than anyone realized, which means the lights go out. Every single light in the penthouse, in the hallway, everywhere. Emergency backup systems should kick in, but they don't. The city view through the windows disappears as the glass automatically tints for privacy mode, plunging everything into absolute darkness. Emma hears movement. Footsteps that aren't hers. The guards should be responding, should be rushing in, but there's only silence. Then she hears it. A voice in the dark, close enough that she can feel breath on her neck. Found the crack. Emma doesn't think. 3 years of survival instinct kick in, and she throws herself sideways, hitting the floor hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. Something whistles through the space where her head was a second ago. She rolls, ignoring the screaming pain in her ribs, and scrambles toward where she remembers the kitchen being. Her hand closes around something metal. A knife from the block on the counter. She grips it like a lifeline and presses her back against the cabinets, trying to control her breathing, trying to listen past the thunder of her own heartbeat. Footsteps. Slow. Confident. Whoever's in here with her isn't worried about the guards. Isn't worried about being caught. Which means the guards are already dead. You're making this harder than it needs to be, Mrs. Moretti. The voice is closer now, circling. I was told to make it painful, but I'm willing to negotiate. You come quietly, and I promise it'll be quick. You fight, and I take my time. Your choice. Emma's fingers find her phone in her pocket. She pulls it out slowly, praying the screen light won't give her position away, and manages to pull up Dominic's contact. She hits call and immediately mutes her own microphone. Smart girl, the voice says, and Emma realizes with horror that he can see in the dark. Night vision goggles or thermal imaging or something. But your husband is 15 minutes away. I only need 5. Something crashes in the living room. Then she hears it, a sound that makes hope surge through her terror. Gunfire. Not in the penthouse, but close. In the stairwell, maybe, or the floor below. The contractor hears it too. His footsteps pause. Back up, he mutters. That was faster than... The penthouse door explodes inward with enough force to rip it off its reinforced hinges. Light floods in from the hallway, and in that sudden illumination, Emma sees three things simultaneously. First, the contractor, tall, lean, wearing tactical gear and night vision goggles, a suppressed pistol in one hand and a combat knife in the other. Second, the bodies of both guards slumped against the wall outside, their throats cut so cleanly they probably didn't have time to make a sound. And third, Dominic. He's covered in blood that definitely isn't his, moving with the kind of lethal grace that comes from years of violence, and the expression on his face is the most terrifying thing Emma has ever seen. This isn't the man who held her gently last night. This isn't even the man who coldly ordered 19 executions. This is something else entirely. Something ancient and primal and absolutely merciless. The contractor spins toward him, raising his weapon, but Dominic is already moving. He closes the distance between them in less than a second, one hand slamming the gun arm up toward the ceiling, while the other drives a tactical knife into the contractor's throat with surgical precision. The man gurgles, tries to fight back, but Dominic twists the blade and pulls it free in a spray of arterial blood. The contractor drops, still twitching, and Dominic is already moving past him toward Emma. "Are you hurt?" His hands are on her face, her arms checking for injuries with professional efficiency despite the murderous rage still burning in his eyes. "Did he touch you? I'm fine. I'm okay." Emma's voice shakes, but she forces herself to stay calm. "How did you know? How did you get here so fast?" "I never left." He pulls her against his chest, one hand cradling the back of her head. "I got to the lobby and something felt wrong. Called Marcus to meet me there instead of at the location, and we started reviewing security footage. Found the electrical engineer who came to do maintenance 3 hours ago, except there was no maintenance scheduled. Tracked him to the utility room, where he'd rigged the power system. Where is he now?" "Dead." Dominic says it with zero emotion, along with the 2 men waiting in a van 3 blocks away as extraction, and the ones in the stairwell who were supposed to breach when the lights went out. Marcus appears in the doorway, also covered in blood, also moving with that same deadly efficiency. "Perimeter secure. We've got 6 bodies total. Checking for more now." "The Russian?" Dominic asks without looking away from Emma. "Dead. Found him at the Meridian 20 minutes ago when you sent the alert. Israeli is secure in the warehouse facility. Javier's team is handling interrogation. We'll know if there are any more by morning." Emma processes this through her shock. "You killed them all? All the contractors?" "Everyone we could confirm." Dominic finally meets her eyes, and there's something raw and vulnerable beneath the killer. "I was hunting them when the power failure alert came through. I've never moved faster in my life. If I had been 30 seconds later, if you hadn't dodged when you did..." His voice cracks. Actually cracks. And Emma realizes that beneath the blood and the violence, and the absolute certainty with which he ended 6 lives in the space of 15 minutes, he's terrified. More terrified than she is. "But you weren't," she says firmly. "And I did. And we're both okay. You had a knife." He notices it still clutched in her white-knuckled hand. "You were going to fight him." "I wasn't going to just let him take me. You're not the only one willing to do whatever it takes." Something shifts in his expression. Pride, maybe. Or recognition of the fact that she's not the same woman who left 3 years ago. That she's stronger now. Harder. That loving him means accepting this life fully, violence and all. "We need to move you," Marcus says. "This location is compromised. We have a safe house across town that's..." "No." Dominic's voice is flat. "We end this tonight. All of it." Emma stares at him. "What are you talking about?" "Victor Kozlov sent these men. Victor Kozlov made the decision that you were an acceptable target, that hurting you was worth the risk. And Victor Kozlov is going to learn why that was the worst mistake of his life." He looks at Marcus. "Is everything ready? Waiting on your word. Then give it. I want every single location associated with Victor hit simultaneously. His warehouses, his clubs, his legitimate businesses, everything. I want his money seized, his supply chains cut, his contacts arrested. and I want him brought to me alive. Dominic, Emma grabs his arm. You're talking about declaring open war. I'm talking about making sure this never happens again. His eyes are burning now. I let those men beat you because I was trying to be measured, trying to be proportional. I killed Victor's people but left him alive because starting a war seemed excessive. And what did that get us? His contractors in our home. A knife at your throat. My wife nearly murdered because I was trying to be reasonable. He cups her face with blood-stained hands. I'm done being reasonable, Emma. I'm done trying to minimize the damage. Victor wanted to prove that my protection means nothing. I'm going to prove that touching you means extinction. Not just for the people who do it, but for everyone connected to them. Their organizations, their allies, everyone. That's going to make a lot of enemies. Good. Let them see what happens. Let them all understand that you are the line no one crosses. That hurting you doesn't just mean death, it means annihilation. Emma looks into his eyes and sees the absolute conviction there. Sees the man who would burn the world down for her, who already has burned parts of it, who will keep burning until everyone understands that she is untouchable. She should be horrified, should be pulling away, telling him this is too much, that the body count needs to stop somewhere. Instead, she kisses him. She kisses him hard, tasting copper and fury and devotion so intense it should be terrifying. When she pulls back, her own hands are bloody from touching his face. Then do it, she whispers. End this. End him. Make sure no one ever thinks about coming after me again. Dominic's smile is sharp enough to cut. Marcus. Sir. Light it up. The next 6 hours are a blur of controlled chaos. Emma watches from the safe room in Dominic's office building, a location even Marcus didn't know about until tonight, as her husband orchestrates the complete and total destruction of Viktor Kozlov's empire. She watches the news reports of mysterious fires at 3 warehouses, of a massive federal raid on a shipping company that turns up enough evidence to indict 40 people, of police shutting down clubs and restaurants, all bearing the same hidden ownership. She watches Dominic on the phone with politicians and judges and police captains, calling in every favor he's ever accumulated, using every piece of leverage he's spent years building. She watches him move pieces across the board like a chess master who's been planning this endgame for years. And she watches Viktor Kozlov's world collapse in a single night. By dawn, Viktor has lost everything. His money is frozen or seized. His properties are burning or raided. His people are dead, arrested, or turning on each other. His suppliers have cut ties. His protection has evaporated. And Viktor himself is zip-tied to a chair in the empty office where Emma sits watching, brought in through a service entrance by 3 of Dominic's most trusted men. He looks smaller than Emma expected. Scared, like he's finally understanding the magnitude of his mistake. Dominic walks in carrying 2 cups of coffee. He hands one to Emma, kisses her temple, and only then acknowledges Viktor's existence. Do you know why you're still alive? Dominic asks conversationally. Viktor says nothing. Smart man. You're alive because I wanted my wife to see what happens to people who threaten her. I wanted her to watch your empire burn. I wanted her to understand that there is no threat too large, no enemy too powerful, no force on earth that can touch her while I'm breathing. He sips his coffee. And now that she's seen it, now that the lesson is complete, you're no longer necessary. Please, Viktor's voice cracks. I didn't know. My men acted without authorization. If I had known who she was, I never would have. You would have, Dominic interrupts. Because men like you see women like her as weaknesses to exploit. You see love as vulnerability. And you're right, it is. But what you fail to understand is that vulnerability makes me more dangerous, not less. He sets down his coffee and pulls out his phone, showing Viktor the screen. This is a live feed from your daughter's dorm room at Columbia. This is your ex-wife's condo in Miami. This is your mother's nursing home in Queens. And this, he swipes to another image, This is the offshore account you thought no one knew about. The one with your real retirement money. The one that's now empty. Victor's face goes white. I could have killed them all, Dominic continues. Could have made you watch while I erased every person you've ever loved from existence. But I'm not going to do that. Do you know why? Silence. Because Emma asked me not to. Dominic glances at her, and there's something soft in his expression. Because my wife believes that killing you is sufficient, that we don't need to multiply the body count unnecessarily. Because she thinks I can still be the man she fell in love with, even while doing what needs to be done. He pulls out a pistol and checks the chamber with practiced ease. She's wrong, of course. I stopped being that man the moment I decided loving her was worth any price. But I'm willing to pretend for her sake, so your family lives. They get to keep going on with their ordinary lives, never knowing how close they came to extinction. Dominic presses the gun to Victor's forehead. But you don't. The shot echoes in the empty office. Victor slumps forward and Emma doesn't flinch, doesn't look away. Just keeps sipping her coffee while Dominic's men move to handle cleanup with the efficiency of people who've done this 100 times before. Dominic crosses to her, tucking the gun away, and pulls her into his arms. Are you okay? I watched you kill a man. You did. And I don't feel guilty about it. Neither do I. Emma looks up at him. What does that make us? Survivors. He kisses her forehead. Partners. Two people who understand that sometimes love means making hard choices. Sometimes it means becoming the monsters so nothing else can hurt what we care about. That's a dark way to look at marriage. We're not exactly a conventional couple. Emma laughs despite everything, despite the body being carried out of the office in a tarp, despite the fact that her husband just ended dozens of lives and destroyed an entire criminal organization overnight, despite the fact that she helped him do it. No, she agrees, we're really not. 2 weeks later, Emma stands in the kitchen of Dominic's penthouse, their penthouse now, making breakfast while he reads the news on his tablet. The story about Viktor Kozlov's mysterious disappearance has been relegated to page 6. His empire has been quietly absorbed or eliminated, his people scattered or silenced. The city has moved on. It always does. We should take a honeymoon, Emma says, flipping a pancake. Somewhere far away. Somewhere with beaches and fruity drinks and absolutely no criminal empires. Dominic looks up from his tablet, eyebrows raised. You want a vacation? I want to spend time with my husband that doesn't involve people trying to kill me. Is that really so strange? He considers this, then smiles. Greece. We'll go to Greece. I have a villa on Santorini that's been empty for years. Private beach, no neighbors, completely secure. Completely secure, Emma repeats, because we can't just have a normal vacation like normal people. We could. He stands and crosses to her, sliding his arms around her waist. But then we wouldn't be us, and I'm rather fond of who we are together. Emma leans back against him, letting herself be held. Yeah? Yeah. We're the couple who survived everything, who found each other again despite 3 years and a lifetime of reasons to walk away, who built something unbreakable out of violence and devotion, and the absolute certainty that we're better together than apart. That's pretty poetic for a crime lord. I have my moments. He kisses her neck. Say yes to Greece. Yes to Greece, Emma murmurs, turning in his arms to face him. Yes to beaches and fruity drinks, and pretending we're normal for 2 weeks. And then we come home. She touches his face, feeling the rough stubble, seeing the scars that tell stories she'll probably never fully know. And we keep building this impossible life together. We keep protecting each other. We keep being exactly who we are. Monsters in love. Heroes in each other's eyes. Dominic kisses her, and it tastes like promises and permanence. Like coming home after a war. Like finding peace in the last place anyone would think to look for it. When they finally pull apart, Emma realizes that everything she's been through, the beatings, the fear, the violence, the impossible choices, led her here, to this man, to this life, to a love so fierce and uncompromising that it remade them both. "I love you," she says. "I love you more," he returns. "Impossible. I loved you first. Then I love you better." Emma laughs and pulls him back in for another kiss, and somewhere in the city below, life goes on. People go to work and raise families and never know about the empire that watches over them. Never know about the man who rules from the shadows with an iron fist. Never know about the woman who became his equal, his partner, his reason for everything. And that's exactly how it should be, because some love stories aren't meant for fairy tales. Some are meant for the dark spaces between what's right and what's necessary. Some are meant for people who understand that protection sometimes wears a terrifying face, that devotion sometimes demands blood, and that the truest form of love is being willing to become whatever you need to be to keep the other person safe. Emma and Dominic are those people. And their story, their beautiful, violent, impossible story, is just beginning. The pancakes burn while they kiss in the kitchen, smoke alarm eventually shrieking its protest, and they laugh like teenagers as they scramble to open windows and wave towels at the detector. Normal life, Emma thinks, interspersed with moments of absolute chaos. Partnership built on trust and terror, and the knowledge that they would quite literally kill for each other. It's not conventional. It's not safe. It's not what anyone would recommend. But it's theirs, and that makes it perfect.